She, dot dot dot. It's time now. Time to put the world down. Let the weight of the day slip off your shoulders. Feel the space around you. Soften. Let your eyes grow heavy. Dot dot, you're breathing slow. Your thoughts like autumn leaves begin to drift. There is nothing left to do. No decisions to make. No places to be. Except here. Right here. In this soft pocket of calm, where a story waits for you. Let your body grow warm and still. Feel the quiet surface beneath you, supporting you. Like earth under stone. It's like a meadow holding dew. Now listen to the hush in the air. Do you hear it? The distant hush of trees, the sigh of old wood in the beams. And they're even fainter. A bell. A slow bronze bell. Ringing softly in the distance. Our story tonight begins in a little hamlet, tucked gently between two winding rivers. This place, this sleepy hollow, isn't found on any map. It lives somewhere in memory and dream. The village is old, stone-built and moss-covered, with ivy weaving through chimney bricks, and cobblestone streets that remember every footstep. Here, time moves gently, like a stream curling around pebbles. The people of Sleepy Hollow live quiet lives. They rise with the rooster, walk to market with baskets on their hips, and gather herbs from the forest edge by midday sun. But when the sky begins to blush with dusk, and shadows stretch across the thatched rooftops, something beautiful happens. From the tallest building in the village, an old bell tower with weathered timbers and a mossy spire, a sound rolls out. The market bell. It chimes only 3 times. Not quickly, not loudly, just 3 soft, solemn notes.
Boon, boon, boon.
The villagers stop for just a moment and listen, because this bell is more than a bell. Long ago, in the days of kings and torchlight, towns and villages across Europe rang a curfew bell at sundown. Not to scold or scare, but to remind. Cover the fire. Curfew, the French would say. Dampen the flame. Draw the embers under ash. Let the world cool and the night begin. For fires were once alive, unruly and wild. A forgotten candle. A rogue spark. And whole streets could vanish beneath flame and smoke. So the bell was safety. The bell was rhythm. The bell was peace. In Sleepy Hollow, the custom lived on, not by law, but by love. Even now, as we float gently into this tale, you can hear it ringing in your mind's ear, soft and low, each tone wrapping around your breath, lulling you deeper into quiet. Now imagine the village. Let's walk through it. Together, the sun has just begun to set, casting soft gold over the roofs of bakeries and broom shops. The air smells faintly of bread crust and lavender. Children chase their shadows down the lane, their laughter echoing off the stones. But as the bell rings, they slow and turn, and scamper gently back toward the glow of their doorways. The butcher sets his cleaver down. The tailor folds her cloth. The old man who sells onions from a wooden cart tips his cap and hums along with the final bell note. Everyone moves just a little softer now, because the day is done, and the world is tucking itself in. Beneath one sloping rooftop, a woman stirs a pot over her hearth. She's added garlic and thyme, and a bit of yesterday's cheese rind. The fire crackles, but she knows, soon, it will be time to hush it, to let the ashes rest too. Just outside, lanterns begin to glow, hung from iron hooks by the doorways. Their light is dim, on purpose. It flickers like fireflies, casting long, swaying shadows across cobblestone and straw. Up above it all, in the bell tower, sits a boy named Thomlin. He's 12, maybe 13. With wind-tangled hair and palms that still smell of wood smoke. Every evening, it is he who climbs the creaking stairs, past the carved oak beams and the nesting sparrows, to stand beside the rope, to watch the sun dip behind the forest edge, and to pull. 3 times. The bell has no sharpness to it, no clang. It is deep and round, a voice that seems to rise from the earth itself. When Tomlin rings it, he does so slowly, with great care, as though waking an ancient friend. And when the 3rd note fades, he simply sits. Sometimes he stays there, long after dusk, watching the lanterns blink into life, listening to the quiet settle, and letting the peace of the hollow settle in him too. In the fields beyond the village, the river runs calmly between reeds. You might hear a frog or the low coo of a night bird. Even the sheep bleat softer now. Everything is slowing. Everything is dimming. And you, dear listener, you are here with us now, in this place, in this story, where nothing rushes and everything breathes with ease. Let yourself stay, just a little longer. Let your thoughts rise, fall, like the bell's last note fading across the stones. You are safe, you are still, and the bell is rung for you too. Now the hush has fully arrived. Not just in the streets, but in the very air itself. Even the breeze moves slowly, like a breath drawn deep, then let out in silence. The homes of Sleepy Hollow are small, stone-rooted with warm wooden beams. Roofs slant low, heavy with moss and memory. Inside each one holds a hearth, and at the hearth a fire, or what's left of it. The curfew bell, remember, was assigned to cover the flame. In medieval times, this was sacred routine. Fires were never blown out that would scatter sparks. Instead, they were banked. The embers, glowing and calm, were pulled gently into a mound, then blanketed with fine ash. The ash smothered the flame, but kept the warmth alive, sleeping quietly until morning. In Sleepy Hollow, this custom remains. An old man named Edwin sits on a low stool, his knees creaking as he bends toward the hearth. He takes a poker-worn smooth at the grip and begins the slow dance of closing the day. First, he pulls the burning logs toward the center. A little sigh of heat rises to meet his face. Then, with practiced care, he sprinkles a small scoop of white ash, collected in a clay jar beside the stones. Over the orange glow, the embers shift. They dim, they whisper, and then they sleep. Edwin leans back, presses his palms on his thighs, and smiles. This, to him, is the best part of every day. Not the fire itself, but the moment it rests. Outside, a fox trots past the well, its paws silent against the ground. The hollow belongs to the quiet ones now. Foxes, moths, owls, and dreams. Let's walk a little further. Down the narrow lane beside the chapel, stone is cool beneath our feet, and every window glows like a lantern from within. Inside one of those windows, a little girl named Maureen curls beneath a quilt. She listens to her mother's voice, soft and low, telling her the same story told every night after the bell. It's a story about stars, how each one holds a name. And when a baby is born, the bell tower keeper climbs to the very top, whispers that baby's name into the sky. And a star, somewhere above the hollow, blinks in response. That star then watches over the child for life, growing softer when the child sleeps, brighter when they dream, and dimming gently when it's time to rest again. Maureen's eyes begin to flutter. Outside her window, the stars are already dancing. She smiles and whispers, "Good night, my star." Not far from her cottage, just beyond the blacksmith shop, an elderly woman named Isolde sits by her window. She doesn't speak anymore, not since the last frost of winter took her voice. But she listens to everything. The bell, the footsteps on the lane, the music of night things, and she writes. Each night after the bell, she lights one beeswax candle. It's not very bright, but it is enough. She dips her quill and writes down what the village felt like today. Not just what happened, but how the day moved. The baker laughed with her whole body today. 2 doves nested in the chapel arch. The milk cooled faster than it used to. I think the air smells of pears now. She has pages and pages of thoughts like these. She doesn't sign them, just tucks each one into a wooden drawer beside the window. Each page is a night, folded and resting, much like the people who sleep nearby. Now, take a breath, let it in slowly, and out like a sigh. Feel the same hush the villagers feel. The comfort of the bell's echo still hanging faintly in the rafters. The warmth of the hearth as it fades beneath its ash blanket. The softness of bedding. The weight of the sky above, dotted with star names you cannot yet pronounce. You are here, in the hollow, with them, and they are at peace. Even the dogs are silent now, curled near doorsteps, twitching in their sleep. chasing rabbits that may only exist in dreams. You may not feel your body anymore, only the weight of it, a pleasant heaviness, as though you're sinking gently into wool and soil and story. Let your thoughts grow slower. Let them stretch long and thin like shadow on stone. Let them rest. Thomlin, up in the bell tower, lays his head against a coil of rope. He watches the rooftops glow faintly. He hums the old bell melody to himself and lets his eyes drift closed. His heart is still, the tower is still, the hollow is still, and you are nearly there, drifting, fading, becoming part of the hush. And so the night deepens. The stars now shimmer like frost on black velvets, soft, cool, and endless. Above the sleepy hamlet, the world holds its breath. Time seems to slow to a pulse, lullaby pulse, the kind only heard when you're very still, very safe. In the bell tower, Tomlin stirs only slightly. He is nearly dozed off. Cheek resting against the old rope, body swaddled in his woolen cloak. But just before his breath turns to dream, he thinks of something he always thinks of at this hour. Something old, something secret, something only the bell-keepers ever whisper. You see, there's a story, passed down quietly, from one bell ringer to the next. It said, the first bell in Sleepy Hollow wasn't meant for markets, or curfews, or even warnings. It was meant for dreaming. Long ago, when the village was just a gathering of huts beside the river, a woman named Elda crafted the bell herself. She wasn't a smith, nor a nun, nor a noblewoman. She was a listener, a watcher, a keeper of silence. Elda believed the world spoke softly, through leaves rustling, fire cracking, milk pouring, footsteps padding. She believed that if you truly listened to the earth, you'd hear when it was ready to rest. And that's when you'd ring the bell. She melted her copper coins. She mixed them with tin scraped from the bottom of cooking pots. She shaped a bell that, when rung, sounded like a sigh, not a clang, not a shout, but a soft, slow breath, a letting go. That bell hung from a curved yew branch near the edge of the river. No tower, no ceremony, only the sound, guiding people gently home. Home to stillness, home to warmth, home to sleep. Elda would ring it each evening, 3 times. And one by one, the villagers would bank their fires, draw their curtains, and whisper their dreams to the sky. As the years passed and homes became stone, and the yew tree was replaced by a tower, the bell changed. But the sound remained the same, soft, measured, kind. Back in the present, Tomlin remembers this story. He's heard it many times from old Garin, the last bell-keeper before him. Garin would always end the tale with the same words. We ring it not to end the day, but to begin the night. Not to silence, but to stillness. Not for warning, but for wonder. And Tomlin would nod, even though the words felt too large to carry. But now, alone in the tower, watching the stars tiptoe across the sky, he finally understands them. He doesn't need to do anything, just listen. Just let the bell do what it's always done. Tell the world, it's time to rest. So he leans his head back, feeling the cool stone against his scalp. He watches a single shooting star whisper across the sky, and he smiles. Because somewhere in the village below, someone is watching it too. Maybe the old man by the hearth, maybe the girl under her quilt, maybe the cat from the baker's roof, or maybe, just maybe, you, yes you, drifting here with us now. This story is not separate from you. You are part of it. With each breath you take, you breathe the same night air. With each slow blink of your eyes, you mimic the soft flicker of lantern light. You are here, resting in the rhythm of a world that has already let go. Somewhere near the edge of the village, by the river's bend, a fisherman named Ulrich ties up his boat. His day is done too, and though the catch was small, he hums a tune of contentment. It's not the fish, it's the flow. It's the quiet of the boat gliding through dusk. The water that never rushes. It's the lull of the current, pulling thought into hush. He carries a lantern. It's not bright, just enough to find the path home. And as he walks along the riverbank, he hears the bell again in memory. He always hears it, even after it stops. Because the sound lives longer than the chime. It lives in the pause it creates, in the silence that follows. the hush that tucks itself into every corner of the night. That's the magic of the bell. It doesn't ask anything, doesn't demand. It simply invites you to slow, to listen, to soften, to close the fire, but open the dream. Ulrich reaches his door. The lantern flickers one final time, then goes out. Inside, the shutters close, the blanket pulls, and all is still. You too can let go now. Let go of shape, let go of edge, go of the day that was, and the one yet to come. Here we are, only breath, and warmth, and stories shared between sleeping minds. The bell has rung, as the hearth has cooled, and Sleepy Hollow dreams again. So close your eyes, not as a command, but as an offering to yourself. You've walked far in these few soft pages. You've heard the river, felt the stone, smelled the baking and the moss. Now it is time to rest. Let the bell's echo curl gently around your heart. The bell has long since stopped ringing now. Its final note faded into memory, then into something even softer than memory. Something like feeling, something like breath. But still, though most of the village sleeps, a few souls remain awake, not because they must, but because they love the night. The part of it that belongs to no one, and yet welcomes all. Let us walk to the edge of the village. There, where the trees begin to thicken and the lanterns give way to moonlight, we pass the herb woman's cottage, a round little home with vines curling up its sides, and a rooftop garden that seems to whisper when the wind passes through. Inside, a woman named Maylie sits cross-legged beside her table, bundling thyme and wild chamomile into sleep sachets. She moves slowly, her fingers soft with practice, her mind quiet as silk. She doesn't speak, she barely moves. But in her stillness, something ancient stirs, like the roots of a tree remembering rain. Maylie's has no need for the bell anymore. She wakes with the dark, sleeps with the first bird's call. But even she listens for it each night, just to be sure the world still turns the way it should. She tucks a final bundle of mint into linen cloth, ties it gently with twine, then places it in a basket that she'll leave at the doorstep of a new mother in the village. Sleep for the baby, peace for the home. Outside her window, the moon has risen. It's nearly full, round and pale, like a coin in the hand of the sky. It casts light in gentle strokes. Over rooftops, over hedges, over the river's calm surface, this is when the true watchers emerge. They are not people, but creatures of shadow and silence. A gray owl perches atop the steeple cross. Its feathers shift slightly in the wind, but it does not move otherwise. Its eyes wide and golden watch over the hollow below. Not for danger, no, Sleepy Hollow knows little of that, but simply to witness. To be present for the hour when the world forgets itself and becomes pure presence. A hedgehog shuffles across the garden stones. A rabbit freezes in tall grass, then disappears with a twitch. Even the insects move quietly now, as if they, too, know the bell has rung. Down by the bridge, beneath the hanging willow branches, a musician named Calder sits with his lute. He plays only when the stars are watching. His melodies are made not to be heard, but to be felt. Like the way your heartbeat softens when someone brushes your hair, or the way your chest rises gently under a warm blanket. Tonight, he plays just 4 notes, then 3, then 2, then he stops. Because sometimes, silence is the end of the song. He rests the lute beside him, leans against the stone bridge wall, and lets his head tilt back. Above, the sky is so clear you can count the constellations. Orion, Cassiopeia, the sleeping doe, a local one. Named by the children of the village, who insist the cluster of stars looks like a deer curled beneath a tree. Calder closes his eyes, does not sleep, but he dreams. And his dreams float out of him like vapor, mixing with the willow branches, the river mist, the moonlight. Back in the bell tower, Tomlin has finally drifted off. The rope still rests beside him, but he no longer needs to hold it. The bell has done its work. It has told the world to settle, and has told Tomlin that he may settle too. He breathes deeply. Each inhale soft and slow, each exhale long and low. Perhaps he dreams of ringing the bell in a great stone cathedral, or of floating down the river with stars in his pockets. Or maybe he dreams of nothing at all, just a long, warm quiet that feels like home. Let us walk the village one last time, not with feet, but with feeling. Sense the homes, each one a glowing lantern of sleep. A mother rests with her baby, cheek to soft hair, hearing not the world but the tiny sighs of new life. An old couple, hands curled together beneath a patchwork quilt, dream not of the past or future, but simply of warmth. A dog dreams of a ball rolling across a meadow it has never seen. A book lies open on a windowsill, its pages fluttering in the breeze, stirred by a wind that seems to read. Even the stones sleep, even the water, even the trees. And so, dear listener, you may rest too. You've wandered the lanes. You've listened to the bell. You've walked beside the firelight and through the hush. You may close your own gate. Cover your own hearth. Let your own breath rise and fall like river tides. There is no more story tonight. It's only stillness, only softness. Only the bell's final echo curled around your breath like a lullaby. The hollow sleeps. Not just the people, but the hills, the air. Even time seems to slow its feet, curl up beneath the hedgerow and close its eyes. But beyond the thatched roofs and ivy-laced fences, on the farthest edge of the village, just before the woods begin, stands a small cottage with round windows like sleepy eyes. Inside lives a woman known only as the Dreamkeeper. No one remembers how long she has lived there. Some say she was born the same week the bell first rang. Others claim she arrived one night with the fog and never left. But everyone agrees on one thing. Her dreams are never her own. You see, the Dreamkeeper collects them, not in bottles, not in books, but in quiet. She walks through the hollow when no one else stirs. Not with shoes, but barefoot. So the earth remembers her steps, wherever a dream floats too far from a sleeper, too wild, too loud, too sharp. She gently gathers it and rocks it back into stillness. Not all dreams are soft. Some carry echoes, storms of fire, of distant footsteps that shouldn't be there. But even those, she soothes. In her cottage, a single candle always burns, not brightly, just enough. Its flame flickers across the walls where tiny clay figures sit in rows. Each one represents a dream she's calmed. A knight holding a feather instead of a sword, a fox curled into a teacup. It's a staircase that ends in a field of poppies. The figures don't move, but sometimes, if you look quickly, they seem to smile. Tonight, the Dreamkeeper wraps a shawl around her shoulders. It smells of rosemary and wood smoke. She opens her door to the hush of the sleeping world. The bell has rung. The air is thick with dreams. Some bright as lanterns, some faint as breath. She steps onto the path. Soil welcomes her feet, cool and kind. Moss cushions each step. She passes the baker's home first. A gentle golden light still flickers in the oven. Inside, the baker sighs in her sleep, dreaming of a dough that never stops rising, floats toward the clouds like a balloon. The Dreamkeeper nods. No need to touch that one. Let it drift. She continues on. Past the mason's workshop, where the man dreams of stone that sings when struck. Past the chapel, where the vicar dreams of birds nesting in his sermon book. Then she pauses. At the base of the bell tower, Thomlin is there, still asleep. His breath rises like a lullaby. But something near him trembles. A flicker of a dream trying too hard to stay awake. She reaches out, not with hands, but with calm. The dream settles. It becomes a soft image. Tomlin ringing a bell underwater, each note sending bubbles instead of sound. He smiles in his sleep. The Dreamkeeper smiles too, then turns to continue. Farther now, into the woods. Not deep, just where the trees lean in close, as if whispering secrets. Here the oldest dreams live, the dreams of the land itself. Roots that remember footsteps from centuries ago, of birds that once nested in branches long since fallen, of stones that sat beside the first fire. She listens. The forest speaks in breathy hushes, in rustling leaves, in creeks that stretch like yawns. She does not gather these dreams, only visits, as one would visit an elder. To say, you are not forgotten. We still dream with you. At the edge of a small glade, she stops again. There's a child there sleepwalking, barefoot in nightclothes. His steps are soft, but his eyes are open in a way that says they shouldn't be. The Dreamkeeper kneels beside him. She hums something. It has no words. It doesn't need them. The child's breath slows. His eyelids flutter and close. She lifts him gently, carries him like a bundle of herbs, back to his home. Through the hedgerow gate. Up the wooden steps. Across the creaky floor. Into the arms of a startled, teary-eyed mother. The mother whispers thank you. But the dreamkeeper is already gone. Back into the hush. Back into the bell's fading echo. Back into the story's breath. Now, dear listener, let your mind drift as she drifts. Softly, silently, without aim or worry. You have no path to follow now, only presence. Let the dreamkeeper walk through your thoughts. Let her smooth them. Let her cradle them like tiny birds and place them gently in a nest of stillness. If your mind offers noise, she will hush it. If it offers questions, she will smile and offer sleep instead. Because now, the hollow has gone completely still. Even the stars rest behind faint clouds. Even the river's ripples pause at the bend. The candle in the dreamkeeper's window flickers once, then twice, then dims, not out, just low, as if it too has begun to dream. And you, wrapped in the softness of this quiet world, now you may sleep now. Knowing your dreams are watched, as the night deepens, a silver calm drapes itself across the hollow, like a shawl laid lovingly across sleeping shoulders. The bell no longer echoes, its chime now only a feeling in the bones, a memory of stillness, of something ancient and kind. The river, winding lazily between the banks, reflects the pale face of the moon. Its soft ripples move like breath, inhale and exhale, without beginning, without end. There is a boat, still moored to a post near the edge of the market dock. Not large, not grand. Just a little wooden skiff, with worn oars resting inside and a lantern hung from its mast. No one is in it, but it rocks gently with the current, like a cradle. And the water sings, not loudly, just enough. If you close your eyes and listen carefully, you can hear it whisper, "All is well, all is well. Sleep now." Not far from the river, a cat prowls along the rooftops. She is black, with silver flecks like stardust in her fur. The villagers call her Wisp. No one owns her. She belongs to the hour between the bell and the first light. She pads over the tiles without sound, pauses to look in on each cottage, then curls herself beneath the chimney of the baker's house. Inside, the oven has gone cold, but the warmth still lingers. Like memory in old stone, Wisp closes her eyes. Even she must sleep eventually. And beneath her, the baker and her daughter lie curled under a thick wool blanket, dreaming of bread that sings in the oven and jam jars that never empty. Farther down the lane, an old clock rests in the chapel. Its hands don't move quickly. They don't need to. For the people of Sleepy Hollow do not race with time. They move with it, like dancers, like boats on the current. The clock ticks only twice per minute. Strange rhythm to outsiders, but here it suits. Each tick sounds like a breath or a page turning slowly. And next to that clock, a wooden bench. Worn smooth by generations of evening prayer, tonight it is empty, but not alone. For the bench remembers every body it has held, every silence shared, every whispered hope, every unspoken goodbye, even furniture dreams in Sleepy Hollow. And as your mind drifts deeper, you may feel your own thoughts slowing to match that rhythm. Tick, tick, just twice a minute. It's just enough to let everything soften. The air grows cooler now. It's not cold, just crisp enough to invite a blanket, a shawl, a cup of something warm. A grandmother Elsha by name pours herself a mug of barley tea. She drinks it while seated by the window, wrapped in a blanket of blue and gray patchwork. She does not need sleep right away. She waits until the dreams come find her, so she sits. Watching the stars slide slowly past the window pane, she thinks of her late husband, of the apples they once picked by lantern light, of the bread he used to toast too long, the way he'd whistle when the bell rang. She smiles. The tea warms her hands, as the bell warms her heart. Even now, even in memory, its sound is with her. She closes her eyes and whispers, "Good night, then." To the sky, to her memories, to her own heart, the night is almost whole now. Not many wakeful ones remain. Even the dogs have grown still. Even the fireflies blink more slowly. And in the fields beyond the last fence post, a scarecrow watches over the wheat. He's not alive, not truly. The way his arms tilt in the wind, the way the wind catches the edges of his hat, you'd almost believe he's breathing. He keeps watch not just on the crows, but on dreams. The wheat, swaying gently, whispers secrets only he can hear. And in return, he tells them stories of the stars. On clear nights, the constellations dance across his button eyes, and he listens, always listens, even dreams, that no longer have names find a resting place out there, among the quiet crops and ancient soil. Dear listener, you've walked far, through hearths and candlelight, through bell towers and rooftops, through memory, through hush, through the breath of a sleeping world. You are not a visitor anymore. You belong here. The village has made space for you. The moss beneath your feet knows your name. The bell has rung for you. The stars have turned their gaze your way. The river carries your breath like prayer. And the dream keeper has brushed your brow with gentle sleep so you may rest. Because you must, but because the world invites you to. Because sleep is not an ending, but a return to softness, to stillness, to the self that only wakes in dreams. There is a building in Sleepy Hollow that many pass by without noticing. Tucked between the old cobbler's shop and the herbalist garden, a narrow wooden door leans slightly in its frame. Its hinges creak like a whisper when touched. Above it hangs a sign faded almost to nothing. Just the hint of a feather and a candle carved in wood. This is the Library of Dust. It is not a place for learning letters. It's not a place for borrowing books. No, this library holds something quieter. Here the dreams that do not belong to anyone come to rest. The dreams that never found a sleeper. The dreams that drifted out of stories and wandered too far. The fragments, a laughing brook, a hand with no body, a feather made of glass. Inside the library, the air smells of age, not musty. Not stale, but warm, like pressed parchment and soft beeswax from candles burned long ago. There are no shelves here, it's just stacks. Endless stacks of scrolls and pages tied with twine, nested in baskets, or coiled like sleeping snakes in corners. The floor is stone, cool to the touch, but when you walk, it hums beneath your feet. Only one person tends this place. His name is Fen. He does not speak above a murmur, and some say he once tried to write down every dream he heard, but stopped when the ink itself began to sleep. Fen keeps a candle burning at all times, not to read by, but to remind the dreams they are welcome. Each night, after the bell rings, he walks the village, not to gather, but to listen. Sometimes he hears a dream left behind on a bench, or caught in the strings of a lute, or folded inside a forgotten shawl. He cups it in his hands, cradles it like a bird, and carries it back. Once inside, he blows across its edges, and it drifts to where it belongs. Sometimes a dream sighs when it settles, other times it hums, but most often, it simply rests. You might think dreams forgotten would be sad things, but they are not. They are soft, content, like leaves that finally find the ground, like snowflakes that melt in perfect silence. Tonight, Fen sits in the farthest corner of the library, legs tucked beneath him, scrolls piled around like pillows. The candlelight flickers slowly. Its flame never dances. It rocks, back and forth, like a cradle suspended in air. He reaches into a basket and pulls out a page. It's blank to the eye, but Fen sees the dream. A horse made entirely of smoke, galloping across an ocean of mirrors. He smiles faintly, then tucks the page into a cloth pouch labeled Drift. There are other pouches, feather below echo. Still, each one holds a kind of dream, not categorized by logic, but by how they make you feel when you wake. Fen does not organize them. They organize themselves. And if you listen closely now, if you quiet even your deepest thought, you can hear them shift, not rustle. Crackle, shift, like breathing parchment, like a library stretching in its sleep. Outside the library, a gentle wind moves through the village. It does not stir the curtains. It does not rattle the windows. It only whispers through the leaves. And those whispers are full of words you never quite remember but always understand, they say. You are safe. You are warm. You are part of the hush now, they say. The bell has rung. The fire is banked. Sleep is not far. Fen leans back, lets his head rest against the cool stone wall, and closes his eyes. For a moment, even the keeper of dreams must dream. As he slips into his own slumber, the pages sigh one last time and settle. So can you, DALL. Dear listener, you've wandered not just the village, but its quietest places. The spaces between moments, the silence behind the sound. And in doing so, you've become part of it. You are no longer visiting Sleepy Hollow. You live here now, in the folds of this gentle night, in the space the bell leaves behind. You don't need to remember the path. The hollow remembers you. Let your body drift deeper. Let your breath match the pace of Fen's candle. Let your thoughts pile like pages, soft, safe, and willing to rest. Before the bell could ever ring, before its song could sweep across stone and sky, someone had to shape it. Not just with fire and hammer, but with intention. That someone was called the Bell Maker, a name passed down, not like a title, but like a gentle blessing. There is always one, though only one at a time. And they do not live in the hollow proper. They live just beyond the orchard grove, where the trees grow close together and the air smells of iron, clay, and honeysuckle. The current bellmaker's name is Alwan. She is quiet, like all who came before. But her hands are full of story, strong, square, and freckled with soot and beeswax. She speaks very little because her hands do the speaking. In the spring, she molds tin and copper with care. In the summer, she cools castings in river water. In the fall, she listens to the wind, know what kind of bell the next year will need. And in the winter, she rests. Tonight her forge is cool, the tools are sleeping, but she is awake, not working, just thinking. Thinking of the first bell in the old stone molds, of the time she dropped a casting and it sang even before it was finished. Thinking of the sound each bell makes, because every bell has a voice, and no two voices are ever quite the same. The current bell, the one you've heard, was shaped when Alwan was younger. It rang once when it was done, and that single chime echoed for 3 full minutes. Everyone in the hollow heard it. Some wept, some smiled. Some said they saw birds turn mid-flight. Others claimed the wheat leaned toward the sound. It was just one note, but it changed things. Alwan traces a finger along an old bell mold. Its edge is worn smooth by weather and use. She hums to it, soft hum. Not a tune, but a feeling. And beneath her touch, the mold seems to remember its shape. You might think metal doesn't sleep, but in Sleepy Hollow, everything sleeps. Even stone, even metal, even the silence between chimes. Now let's drift with the night breeze. I'll let it carry us past the forge, back through the orchard, past pear trees heavy with fruit and apple trees rustling low lullabies. The grass below is cool with dew, and the wind hums a tune you almost recognize, as if from a dream you once had but never quite remembered. This is the melody of night, not made of instruments but of presence. It surrounds the hollow like a cloak,
Packs it in.
like a parent would a child. And above, the stars grow soft and golden, not bright, just warm, like distant lamps in windows you'll never need to reach. As the bell rests in the tower, and the bellmaker rests in her chair, and the village lies hushed beneath quilt and moon, you too can settle into stillness. You do not need to try to sleep. You only need to allow. Let your thoughts sway like a bell on its rope. Them swing slowly, until they rest. No need to chase the next moment. It will find you when it's quiet enough. Just as the bell finds the air, it's just as sleep finds the hollow. Just as peace finds you. Not far from the village green, where the cobbled path begins to slope gently downward toward the stream, there sits a house with a blue slate roof and windows shaded by hanging ivy. Inside that house lives an old scribe named Thester. His back is bent like the curve of a comma, and his spectacles always seem to slide down his nose, no matter how often he nudges them back up. But Thester does not mind, for he writes only in the hours after the bell has rung. When the village exhales, and the air is thick with dreams not yet spoken, he believes, as the scribes before him believed, that words written at night carry a gentler weight. They rest softer on the page. They hum instead of shout. They wait for the reader to arrive, rather than demanding to be read. Tonight, Thester sits at his oak desk, a goose feather quill in hand, and a small inkwell resting just beside a flickering lamp. But the ink, sleeping. Yes, sleeping ink. In Sleepy Hollow, not everything is bound by usual rules, and the ink used by the scribes is mixed with crushed poppy seed and distilled moonflower sap. It does not flow unless the words are true, kind, and worthy of being remembered in stillness. So Thester waits. He closes his eyes. He listens. And then, ever so softly, he begins to write. The bell rang tonight, as it always does. But something in the third chime felt warmer, perhaps because of the wind, or perhaps because the child who heard it first smiled before anyone else. The ink flows, slow like honey warmed by a fire. It glides across the paper without a sound, each letter curling like smoke, like a dream shaped by breath alone. The room smells of lavender and old books. A mug of warm milk rests by his elbow. His cat, Elderpin, lies curled on the floor, purring so faintly that her sound could be mistaken for silence itself. Outside the window, the stream chatters softly. The moon reflects off the water in patches, as if the stars have taken a bath and left droplets behind. Thester dips his pen again. Tonight I dreamed I was a word in someone else's story, and I was happy. Because even small words, when placed with care, help build the kind of silence that means something. He writes until the candle shortens, until the lamp dims, and then without ceremony, he closes his journal, sets his spectacles aside, lowers himself onto a cot by the window. No blanket needed tonight, just the hush, just the softness, just the knowledge that he has written what needed to be remembered. The ink cools, the quill dries, and the page rests with the sound of the bell still folded gently into its corners. Now, dear listener, let your own mind write softly. No need for loud thoughts, no need for judgment. Just trace your breath like a sentence across the page of this night. Let your breath say, I am safe. Let your breath say, I am welcome here. Let your breath say, the bell has rung for me, and let that be enough. Let your body soften like the quiet curl of ink on a page no one rushes to finish. Let sleep begin to hold the pen now. Let the story pause here, not end, just breathe. Along the eastern edge of Sleepy Hollow, where the land begins to rise and the earth swells gently into a soft green hill, a row of lanterns lights a winding footpath. Each lantern hangs from a crooked wooden post, some hand-carved, others grown that way from branches left to age just so. They are lit not with flame, but with slow-burning oil infused with sage, juniper, and crushed violet petals. This path is called the Lantern Way, and it leads not to a house, but to the stone circle above the village. It is said that the stones there were placed long ago by those who walked in rhythm with the stars, before bells, before clocks, before even the first hearth fire was lit in the hollow. No one knows quite how long the stones have stood, but they lean in just so, toward each other. Like elders in quiet council, at night they glow faintly, not with light, but with memory. The kind of memory that settles deep in your bones, without words, without pictures. It's just a warm knowing, a softness in the soul. Tonight the lanterns flicker gently as the breeze passes through them, each one sighs, not with sound, but with scent. Sage, juniper, violet. An old shepherd named Marin walks the path tonight. She walks not out of duty. Her sheep are safe in their stonefold below, but because the path calls her sometimes, when her dreams are too loud, when her thoughts need thinning. When her breath longs to match the rhythm of the stones, she carries no lantern. She does not need one. The light is not for the eyes, but for the breath, and her breath is steady. Her steps are slow, her boots worn soft at the toes, her shawl trailing like a whisper behind her. As she reaches the top of the hill, the circle greets her without sound, just a shift in the wind, a stilling of leaves, a hush that means welcome. As she steps between the stones and sits, there is a flat rock in the center, just wide enough for one, where lichen has formed the shape of a sleeping bird. Marin lays her palms flat on the stone, closes her eyes, and waits. The wind moves across the hilltop in spirals. It plays with her hair, lifts it, lets it fall. Stars above shift imperceptibly. One falls, just one, a single gleam across the velvet night. And as it does, a dream begins to rise. Not hers, the hills. A slow old dream of when the stones were placed by lantern light, and hands dusted with flower pollen. A voice is singing not in words, but in tones drawn from the breath of the earth. Marin doesn't interrupt. She only listens. She has no need to know what it means, only that it is kind, only that it is old and gentle, still dreaming. She sits with the stones until the lanterns flicker low, until the oil burns to silence, till the wind becomes so soft she no longer knows if it is air or sleep itself. Then, without rising, she curls her shawl beneath her head and lies down on the moss. Just for a moment, just to let her body remember how to be still without falling, how to be soft without effort. Ash! And as she lies there, beneath stars that have no name, beside stones that hum with history, she drifts into sleep. The kind that doesn't feel like leaving, the kind that feels like returning. Now you, dear listener, may walk the lantern path with your breath. Let it be your guide. Let it flicker, then settle. Let it carry you past juniper and violet, past memory and wind, to the place within yourself where the oldest stones lie. Not buried, not forgotten, just resting, waiting for you to remember that stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is home, and you are home now. At the southern edge of the hollow, just past the barley fields and the row of sunflowers that bow only at dusk, there sits a weathered house with its back to the wind. It doesn't seem like much. Walls faded by seasons, shutters slightly askew. But inside this house lives a weaver named Lynn. She does not speak much, not because she cannot, but because the threads do most of the talking. Lynn's loom rests in the center of her cottage. It creaks with the kind of grace that only age can teach. Its wood worn soft at the places her hands know best. And tonight, after the third chime of the market bell has faded into hush, she weaves, not cloth for clothing, not for curtains or blankets, but for sleep. She weaves the dreams of the hollow. She calls it the under thread, the quiet pulse that connects each sleeper's breath to the next, and the next, and the next. You could see at this dream cloth, you'd see no colors at first. Just shimmer, like light on dew, like the whisper between waves, like the sound of snow when it falls too softly to hear. Her shuttle moves slowly, back and forth, back and forth. With each pass, a feeling is laid down. The weight of a baby's head on a mother's chest. The hush of the moment before first snowfall. The sigh of a grandfather who hears the bell and knows deep in his bones that everything is well. The cloth grows wider, longer, but it is never finished. It breathes like lungs, like earth, like time itself. As she weaves, the moon rises higher, pale guide through velvet sky. Outside her cottage, the barley nods with sleep. Inside, the threads hum faintly. The loom creaks once, not tiredly, but as if stretching its old limbs. Lynn doesn't yawn. She doesn't need to. Her eyes drift half shut, her breath matching the pace of her weaving. Back and forth. Inhale and exhale. Thread and hush. You, dear listener, may now rest within that weaving. Let your thoughts become threads. Loose, wandering ones, no need to guide them. Just let them tangle for a while, then soften. Let Lynn's loom pull them gently, back and forth into the fabric of the hollow. You do not need to understand what is being made, only that it welcomes you, that it holds you, that it remembers. Every pause, every sigh, every forgotten dream, woven here, held forever, outside. The third chime of the bell lingers still, not in sound, but in shape. In the curve of a cat curled beneath a window, in the tilt of a shutter slightly open to the night, in the slow breath of the hollow's dreamers, all stitched together in peace. At the heart of Sleepy Hollow, just a few cobblestones away from the bell tower, is a cottage that always smells of warm flour and honey. The shutters are painted sunflower yellow, and the chimney, even at night, releases a faint wisp of sweet smoke. This is the home of Marta, the baker. Even though the ovens have long cooled for the night, and the day's last loaves have been wrapped in linen and twine. Something in the walls still hums. It is not the oven, nor the fire. It is memory, because in Sleepy Hollow, bread remembers. Every loaf carries with it the quiet hands that shaped it, the breath that rose with the dough, the small moment of stillness when it was placed gently into warmth. And tonight, in the gentle hush after the market bell, Marta lies in bed with her hands resting over her apron. Still dusty with flour, she hasn't the heart to wash off. The flour remembers too, remembers her grandmother's voice teaching her when to fold, when to wait, when to whisper to the dough if it seemed restless. Some in the village say Marta talks to her loaves. Others say her loaves dream back. They puff gently in their baskets, crackling as they cool, as if telling stories to one another before sleep. Tonight, one small loaf, barely larger than a curled hand, rests on the windowsill. It was baked for no one in particular, just because the oven had a little warmth left to give. The loaf is golden brown, its crust whisper crisp, its scent light with thyme and honey. As moonlight filters through the window, the loaf catches the glow. And for a moment, only a moment, a faint breath escapes it. Not steam, not heat, but breath. Soft, like a sigh from something old and kind. Marta shifts under her woolen blanket. She dreams now, of bread she has yet to bake, a loaf shaped like a sleeping fox, one with lavender hidden in its center, one that hums lullabies as it rises. The dream is so soft, so round, so gently scented, that it travels from her window, out into the hollow, curling like steam into the night. You, dear listener, may feel that scent now, not with your nose, but with your chest, the way your breath rises and lowers, as if remembering something warm from long ago. Perhaps a morning when someone made you toast before the sun rose, or a bite of bread too good to rush. Or maybe it's a dream you've never had but hope to. Let that warmth fill your body, from the soles of your feet to the space behind your eyes. Let your thoughts feel like rising dough, slow, patient, forgiving. There is no rush here, no need to be anything but still. Low, only to rest. Outside, the window cools. The crust tightens on the small, forgotten loaf. The flour settles. The dream it carried slips back to where dreams belong. In Sleepy Hollow, wrapped in scent and silence, sinks one breath deeper into sleep. Just beyond the farthest fence post, where fields fade into thistle and fern, there stands an old ash tree. Its branches are bare now, etched like silver lines against the night sky. But in its highest crook, just beneath the stars, rests a tiny round sparrow. Her name is Cinder, though no one named her, not aloud. She was meant to leave with the others when the air turned crisp, and the leaves browned and broke away. But something in the hollow made her stay. Some say it was the warmth of chimney smoke. Others believe it was the sound of the market bell, so round and soft, like a nest made of air. Or maybe it was simply that she felt safe, and so she did not fly south. She tucked herself tighter into the hollow's hush, and each evening she watches bread rise. And candles blink, and shutters close. She watches sleep unfold like a soft woolen blanket passed from home to home. And the hollow, in turn, watches her back. Tonight, Cinder ruffles her feathers. The stars above her are bright but not sharp. Just the glow of old light, kind light. Below the path is lit with dream lanterns. She sees Fen, the dreamkeeper, returning from the library. She sees Marta's window, still fogged with sleep. She sees the bell tower, silent now but never absent. She tilts her head, and slowly, without urgency, she tucks it under her wing, and sleep takes her too. In the village, there's a saying, if the sparrow stays, so may you. It means there is no hurry to leave, no pressure to wake, no shame in stillness. It means the world may turn. But here, you are safe. So, dear listener, tuck your own thoughts beneath your wing. Let them rest. Let them grow warm. Let them quiet. You are not missing anything. You're part of it all, just by breathing. Let the hush of the hollow fill your lungs. Let it echo gently behind your ribs. Let your heartbeat fall into rhythm with Cinder's quiet breath. She will keep watch. You may drift, And when you do, know that the ash tree will remember, and the stars will glow just the same. Above the rooftops, above the weaving lanes and ivy-wrapped shutters, rises the stone bell tower. Not tall, not grand. It's true. Its stones were stacked by hands that now sleep in earth. Its wooden beams whisper when the wind moves just right. And at its heart, the bell, heavy, round, bronze, touched by time, cradled in rafters wrapped in straw to soften the swing. Silent now, but never forgotten. And beneath the bell, in a small room lined with wool blankets and a cedar trunk, sleeps the bell ringer. Name is Toma, and he is the only one who knows the bell's full voice. It's not just the sound it makes when rung, but the sound it longs to make when it rests, because bells dream too. They dream in tones. They hum in silence. They remember storms, weddings, and winters just by resting in air. Toma's hands are thick with callus. He does not ring the bell with force, but with rhythm, with patience. It takes 3 pulls, always 3. The first to wake the air, the second to settle the day, the third to tell the hollow it's time to sleep. And after that, he sleeps too, but not always easily. Some nights, his mind buzzes like an unrung chime. Memories of bells in other towns, of a time before the hollow, when bells called to war, not dreams. Those bells were loud, brash, hungry for echoes. But the market bell of Sleepy Hollow was different. It didn't call for attention. It gave permission to stop, to soften, to sleep. At night, after his 3 pulls, Toma lit a small candle in the tower's corner. He sat beside it, wrapped in his wool cloak, and let the silence settle. He thought about the way the bell swung. Not too fast, not too slow, just right. The way the rope responded loyal. Warm in his palm, he closed his eyes, not to chase sleep, but to listen. Somewhere deep in the quiet, he heard the bell speak back, not with words, not with ringing, but with presence, a knowing. A low hum that began behind his ribs and echoed down into the soles of his feet, laid back, and dreamed. His dream was simple. He was standing in the tower as the sky turned golden around him. Rooftops shimmered, and the air smelled of baked pears and pine. He took the rope in his hand, but the bell swung on its own. Once, twice, 3 times. And from the sound, flowers bloomed across the stones. Doors opened without knocking. Children laughed in their sleep. The sound of the bell didn't just mark the end of the market, it wove time together, it said. You are here, and you are home. He woke with that feeling still in his chest. The candle had burned down. The room smelled of wax and cedar, and outside, the hollow slept in perfect peace. He tucked the blanket beneath his chin. The rope lay still. The bell above him held its breath. He let go of his thoughts. Like letting go of a rung rope, soft, loose, falling into rest. Now you, dear listener, may rest too. Let the bell's imagined tone fill your chest, not loud, just warm. Let it settle into your spine, then soften behind your eyes. You do not need to ring anything. You do not need to call for sleep. It is already here. You are already inside the dream. Let the bell echo behind your thoughts, just once more, and sleep. There is a small building at the edge of the village, half covered in moss, and shaped like a pocket watch that fell sideways into the earth. It was once the timekeeper's workshop, but the timekeeper moved on, and the building now keeps no time at all. Inside, upon a velvet-draped table, sits a clock with no hands. Its face is mother of pearl, etched faintly with tiny stars. But where there should be ticking, there is only a low, steady hum like breath. This clock is known as the dream time. It doesn't count minutes, doesn't mark hours. Instead, it keeps track of stillness. And the hollow, in all its wisdom, decided that stillness was more important to measure than anything else. Each night, after the bell has rung and faded, anyone may visit the dream time. They don't need to speak. They don't need to wind it. They simply sit, close their eyes, and breathe. And the clock begins to hum in reply. It hums in tune with the breath. Not louder, just more present. Like the way a sleeping cat's purr seems to fill the entire room once everything else has quieted down. Tonight, a young boy named Oren tiptoes into the workshop. He carries a blanket wrapped around his shoulders and a sprig of rosemary in his palm. No one told him to come, but he couldn't sleep. Not because he was restless, but because he was curious. What would the clock sound like if he sat still enough?
Out.
He lowers himself onto the stool. His feet don't quite reach the ground. He places the rosemary gently beside the clock, closes his eyes, and waits. At first, there is only the silence of wood and stone, the warmth of velvet beneath his palms, then a tone, low, round, like the deepest part of a cello. If it were singing in its sleep, it doesn't surround him, it welcomes him in. His breath slows, his shoulders drop. The blanket slides slightly down his arms, and still, he does not move. He has entered the dream time. The clock's hum shifts, just slightly with each inhale. It's not magic, it's memory. The clock remembers every breath ever shared within this space. It has no hands, but it holds hands with those who seek it, and it holds Orin now, not tightly, not like a grip. It's more like a gentle palm at the small of the back, guiding. Outside the workshop, a fox pauses beneath the window, lifts its nose to the air, then sits, as if it, too, is listening, not just to the boy, but to the stillness he's creating, to the clock that does not count time, but holds it, keeps it safe, keeps it slow. Orin opens his eyes. The clock has not changed, but he has. His chest feels lighter, his thoughts softer, his breath almost invisible. Smiles, not big, just enough, then rises. He leaves the rosemary sprig where it is, an offering, a thank you, and tiptoes back into the night. The clock does not stop humming, even when no one is watching. It keeps stillness for all, and tonight it is full, brimming with the breath of a child who dared to sit in perfect quiet, who let the hum in, who became part of the pause. Now, dear listener, you may enter the dream time too. No ticket, no effort, just breath. Let it rise gently, then fall. Let your thoughts sit like Orin did, small feet dangling, curious, unafraid. Let the hum begin behind your ribs. Let it wrap around your breath. Let it remind you that time, real time, is not what ticks, it's what stills. And now you are still, and that means you are right on time. Behind the apothecary's cottage, where the stones of the wall lean in like old friends sharing secrets, there lies a garden that blooms only in moonlight. By day, it seems unremarkable. Low herbs, fuzzy leaves, a few stubborn stalks of mint. But after the bell rings, after shutters are closed, and windows breathe out warmth, this garden wakes. Each plant glows faintly, not with light, but with memory. This is Eloan's garden. She is the apothecary, and also its quiet keeper. Some say she speaks to the plants, others say they speak first. But Eloan knows what few still remember, that certain herbs dream more deeply after sundown. Tonight, as clouds drift softly across the stars, Eloan walks barefoot between the beds, a basket on her arm, a wool shawl wrapped over her shoulders. Smelling faintly of chamomile and rose ash, she pauses beside a patch of sleepwort, a shy plant, with silver-tipped leaves and blossoms that only unfurl after dusk. Softly. A note passed down from mothers to daughters, never written down, only remembered in the body. The leaves respond. They rustle like the softest applause. They lean toward her hand, offering themselves. She plucks only what is needed. 1 stem, 3 petals, enough for a tincture to help the dreamless sleep. Behind her, the rest of the garden breathes. Mullein sways slightly even without wind. Nighttime releases its scent like a sigh kept all day. There is a corner where lavender rests with its head on soft moss, and a small pot of lemon balm hums to itself. Dreaming of sunshine it hasn't seen in weeks, Eloan gathers in silence. Not because words are forbidden, but because silence allows the garden to remember. She places each herb in her basket with care, not like ingredients, like stories. In the cottage, a kettle waits. Its copper belly reflects the moonlight through a cracked window pane. Lowen lights a small flame. Not too hot, just enough. She pours the water, adds petals, a slice of honey root, stirs once clockwise, then lets it rest. The room fills slowly with scent, a sleepy scent. Not floral, not sweet, just soft. Like the breath of someone who's just let go of a long-held worry. She pours the mixture into a jar, wraps it in linen, and places it in a wooden box marked with a carved bell. Tomorrow, someone will pick it up. They'll whisper thanks and sleep deeply. But for now, Ilawan drinks the last of the brew herself. She settles into her old rocking chair, a quilt over her knees, and watches the steam rise from her cup. Each curl of vapor tells her something she's always known, that dreams begin in the quietest places, like herb gardens and warm kitchens, and hearts that ask for nothing but peace. Outside, the garden hums. The herbs tuck themselves in, the night cools, and the hollow drifts deeper into stillness. Now you, dear listener, may sip from the same cup, not in your hands, but with your breath. Inhale gently, as if drawing in warmth from a quiet garden. Exhale slowly, as if returning thanks to the soil. Let them soften your thoughts like Elon's shawl, warm, worn, and woven with patience. You are welcome here. You are part of the garden, and it is blooming, just for you. As the night folds its edges into the valley, and the lanterns dim without a sound, Sleepy Hollow nears the moment between sleep and silence, the place where even time holds its breath. And in that quietest hour, when the third chime of the bell has long since faded, there walks a figure known only as the Dreamkeeper. No one sees their face. No one knows where they sleep, but every home in the hollow has felt the trace of their kindness. Some say they carry a book made of willow bark. Others whisper of a cloak stitched with strands of starlight. I'd all agree on this. The Dreamkeeper comes not to wake, but to watch. Not to gather dreams, but to guard them. Tonight, as windows glow faintly with the breath of sleep, the Dreamkeeper walks the path through the village, barefoot, so as not to wake even the stones. They pause at each doorstep, not for long, just enough to feel the hush within. A child's toy forgotten on the porch, they place it gently by the door. A lantern left swinging, they still it with one hand. At the well they pause, not to draw water, but to listen. The well dreams, too, of hands once lowered buckets, of laughter echoing down its sides, of wishes whispered into its dark. The Dreamkeeper leaves a silver pebble on its rim, a gift, a thank you, a promise. The market green, the wind has stilled, only the memory of trade lingers there. Of apples weighed in woolen sleeves, and old women trading stories as easily as coin. And above it all, the bell, still listening. The Dreamkeeper climbs the steps of the tower, one by one. Not quickly, not slowly, just right. Inside, the bell ringer sleeps, arms folded beneath his cloak, a faint smile across his resting face.
Oh, the Dreamkeeper does not wake him.
They simply reach out, rest a hand against the bell's base, and close their eyes. And the bell, though it does not swing, offers a final silent chime. Not with sound, but with weight. Presence felt in the chest, behind the eyes. Just at the edge of waking thought, chime that says, "You may rest now, all is well, all has been remembered." The Dreamkeeper descends the steps, their shadow long and soft behind them. And as they pass through the hollow one final time tonight, the stars seem to glow just slightly more, as if winking, as if blessing, as if tucking in the world. In every home, Marta's oven still warm from yesterday's bread, Eloan's empty cup beside a rocking chair, Oren's blanket tucked beneath his chin, Thester's ink bottle now sealed with a cork of wax. Stillness settles, breath deepens. Dreams like moths unfurl their wings and begin to drift, no longer held, no longer waiting. They flutter gently across pillows, through windows, between quiet thoughts, landing wherever they're needed. And you, dear listener, you too feel that presence now. Not a figure, not a sound, but the hush, the quiet permission. To loosen your grip, to let go of the day, to sink. You are not alone. You are part of the hollow now. The bell has rung for you. The Dreamkeeper has passed your door, and sleep has found you. Let your breath slow. Let your chest rise and fall like the lull of old village hills. Let your thoughts become gentle, fewer now, lighter now, like petals floating in a warm stream. Let yourself rest. Because the bell has spoken, the market has closed, and dreams are blooming all around you.